Democrats won the major races the nation has been tracking. In New York City, voters told Democrat socialist Zohran Mamdani that he will be the city's next mayor, the 111th mayor, with that mayor-elect Mamdani wasting no time waging a war with President Donald Trump.
If anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him, it is the city that gave rise to him. And if there is any way to terrify a despot, it is by dismantling the very conditions that allowed him to accumulate power. So, Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
And we are already seeing some potential fallout from the Democrats, socialists winning the New York City mayoral election. Today, not even 24 hours after Mamdani was elected, New York City's Jewish Fire Commissioner Robert Tucker handed in his resignation. An official reason for his resignation has not been released, but I am curious whether the fire commissioner's Jewish faith and the mayor-elect's anti-Semitic remarks might have something to do with this. Now moving on to New Jersey. In New Jersey, Democrat Michael LaRosa will be that state's next governor.
Here in New Jersey, we know that this nation has not ever been, nor will it ever be, ruled by kings.
And in Virginia, Democrat Abigail Spanberger will be the next governor.
We sent a message to the whole world that in 2025, Virginia chose pragmatism over partisanship. We chose our Commonwealth over chaos.
And what is a giant election result that will directly impact you, even though you might not live in California, is this. California voters have approved a new congressional map drawn by state Democrats. That means Democrats have a strong chance to gain up to 5 House seats in the midterm elections. If that happens, it makes it very likely that in the midterms 1 year from now, the House gets flipped from Republican majority to Democrat majority. California Governor Gavin Newsom said this about the approved ballot measure.
We're proud of the work that the people of the state of California did tonight to send a powerful message to an historic president. Donald Trump is an historic president. He is the most historically unpopular president in modern history.
More on that in just a moment. Also today, the United States Supreme Court hearing oral arguments over the legality of President Trump's sweeping tariffs. This decision could impact billions of dollars worth of business. We'll have more on that later this hour. And a tragedy in Louisville, Kentucky. A UPS cargo plane crashed, killing at least 9 people. We'll have more on that deadly crash coming up. And important issues all over the country about airports as the government shutdown reaches a new record of 36 days. But first, last night's election. Former Special Assistant to President Biden and former Press Secretary of the First Lady, Michael LaRosa, joins me. Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Okay, I may be the only one in the whole country that thinks this way, is the headlines. Let me pick you one from Politico. Democrats didn't just rebound, they dominated. And set me right, Michael, because they should have dominated. This was a Republican state of Virginia, a Republican state of New Jersey, a Republican city of New York City. It would have been a giant story if the Democrats had failed. And so it's not like this big whoop-de-doo victory.
You're thinking exactly the way I'm thinking. I've been saying it all day. I'll tell you what no other Democrat will go on TV and tell you, and that is New Jersey and Virginia were low-hanging fruit. These are 2 states with Democratic voter registrations that have 1 million more Democrats than Republicans. These are 2 states that Kamala Harris actually won less than a year ago, and she didn't win any swing states, but she did win these 2. So these were states that Democrats had a blue wave across Virginia. Spanberger flipped seats that Youngkin won 4 years ago, counties, I should say. They did incredibly well across the states of New Jersey, Virginia, and California, but they are overwhelmingly Democratic seats. What I would also say, the 2 consequential votes last night, if you ask me, were not so much those, but were Pennsylvania and California. And in Pennsylvania, Democrats reelected 3 more Supreme Court justices. That's so important when it comes to
the election stuff.
integrity.
Oh, right.
That is so important.
Oh, yeah, that is right. I agree, totally.
Not only that, in the 2 counties that flipped from Obama to Trump to Biden back to Trump, they elected Democrats as county executives in Erie and Northampton, and then up again in Luzerne County, which Obama won by 10 points, Trump won by 20 points. That's a state that's consequential. Those are the kind of communities that Democrats need to do well in that will change the balance of power in a year.
But even more than that is that, when everybody has election fights and they wind their way up to the state Supreme Court, this is, so who they've elected the state Supreme Court right now is going to have, maybe.
That's right.
It shouldn't have an impact, but it does.
And here's the other consequence of California, and not just Newsom, the fact that he had the guts to do it, to play ball with Trump, and not just talk, but actually walk and put that state to a referendum vote. Yes, he did it. He evened up the score now with Texas. But now, will that motivate Abby Spanberger, who now has a trifecta in Virginia, J.B. Pritzker, Wes Moore? Will this light a fire under them to do the same?
But how is that the least bit courageous on part of Newsom? He knew the vote would be on the congressional district.
Sure, but
he had to know. It has a democratic state.
Sure, but it costs a lot of money. First of all, it was 90 days. It costs a lot of money to do a referendum and to put it to the state ballot.
I don't think California's been concerned about money.
I think you're probably right about that.
I don't think. What they see is they see an opportunity to do redistricting so that they gain 5, and if they gain 5, I guess that means the Republicans lose 5, right? Because when they get,
I think it neutralizes the 5 that the Republicans could have picked up.
Well, in any event, the 5 is a big deal when you have a House that is so narrowly divided right now.
Absolutely.
And if in a year.
Every vote, every legislature that does this is why Trump is being so smart about going to Indiana, getting 1 seat from them, getting 1 seat out of Missouri. These will add up, and as you know, there's only a 5-seat deficit as it is right now.
Which is why, so that if in a year it flips to the Democrats' majority in the House, that means that the chairman of the very powerful oversight committee that looks at the executive branch and subpoenas people there will be a Democrat, and it will completely logjam anything Trump intends to do.
That's what the party can do when you have control of the legislative branch and the Republicans and the other side has control of the executive branch. But
it gets ugly.
As we saw the last half of Trump's first term, he basically ignored most subpoenas.
All right. Well, anyway, but it'd be a big deal.
But the Republicans did well in one place, New York. They got the candidate they wanted.
Oh, Mamdani.
Yeah.
Because now they tie every single Democrat, even if the Democrat ran from Mamdani, every single Democrat in the midterms is going to be tied to him.
We are going to have to own him from the suburbs of Philadelphia to the suburbs of Denver to Newport to Allentown. It's going to be it's a problem. It's going to be.
Well, here's what he did. Last night after he was elected, there were some swastikas that were painted, some graffiti. I think we have the picture up there on the screen, and he tweeted it today. There it is. And he said, "This is disgusting and heartbreaking act of anti-Semitism. Has no place in our beautiful city. As mayor, I will always stand steadfast with our Jewish neighbors to root the scourge of anti-Semitism out of our city," which was he's actually paying attention to the fact that everyone says he's an anti-Semite. But he came right out of the gate with that today.
It's a good step. It's a good first step because now we're going to be watching. Now's the fun part. You campaign in poetry, but you govern in prose. And we're going to see how he does. It's great that he can dance on Instagram, but can he run the largest city in the country?
Well, he's got another problem. He just picked a fight. He's been fighting with Trump, but by picking that fight with Trump and his sort of
yes.
Trump is going to pull money out of New York.
Yeah.
If he starts giving away everything that he says he has, he's going to need a bailout from the federal government because New York's going to get deep into debt.
Well,
and he's not going to get that from Trump.
Yeah, that's right. And everybody who has tried to poke the bear and poke Trump hasn't ended up in a great place where they've had to capitulate not capitulate, but had to make a deal in some way. And look, last night he gave a compelling, fiery speech, but as a famous prosecutor in California once said, I find him compelling the way I find Laurence Olivier compelling, but I don't necessarily want him running the city of New York.
Well, it appears he's on a giveaway tour, and it's fun to be giving away if you got something to give away.
Well, that's what governing's all about, campaign and poetry, govern in prose. We'll see what he thinks he can give away but now he's going to be held accountable.
Well, it's a fascinating night, and it sets us up for the midterms, which starts right now.
Right now.
Anyway, Michael LaRosa, thank you. Always nice to see you.
Fun stuff.
Coming up, a Supreme Court decision that could redefine presidential authority. That when the record continues.
Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country.
Before Charlie Kirk died, he issued a stark warning of terrifying dangers ahead in a new book, Pagan Threat, authored by Pastor Lucas Miles. Charlie said Pagan Threat could save America and that you must read it. Get Pagan Threat free with Newsmax's special offer. Plus, get Dick Morse's new book, The Real Charlie Kirk. 2 great books with our free offer today.
Hello, I'm Franklin Graham. Have you noticed how much the world is focused on peace right now? Well, the real question is, do you have peace with God? You see, God made us and created us, but we've been separated from Him because of sin. And Jesus Christ is God's Son, and He came from heaven to this earth to save us from our sins. And you can have true peace with God through faith, simply believing on Jesus Christ. And if you're willing to turn from your sins and invite Christ into your heart, God will forgive you, and you can experience that true peace right now. Just pray this prayer with me. Just say, God, I'm a sinner. I'm sorry. I want to turn from my sins. I believe Jesus Christ is your Son. I want to trust Him as my Savior and follow Him as my Lord from this day forward. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. If you prayed that prayer, call that number.
A peace plan for Gaza. For the plan to advance, Hamas must disarm. Instead,
tonight, terrifying images emerging from Gaza. Videos show Hamas-linked gunmen carrying out a public execution as they return to the streets.
Hamas on a rampage, executing Palestinians. Bloody crackdown, spreading terror. For freedom, not terror, Hamas must go.
Earlier today, the United States Supreme Court heard oral arguments over the legality of President Trump's sweeping tariffs. The issue, whether the president can use the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act to impose sweeping tariffs without congressional approval. First up to argue their case was United States Solicitor General John D. Sauer. Sauer represented the federal government and defended the president's tariffs to the 9 justices on the High Court.
I want to explain to me how you draw the line, because you say we shouldn't be concerned because this is foreign affairs and the president has inherent authority, and so delegation off the books, more or less. And if that's true, what would prohibit Congress from just abdicating all responsibility to regulate foreign commerce, for that matter, declare war, to the president?
We don't contend that he could do that. If it did,
why not?
Well, because we're dealing with a statute, again, that has a whole...
I'm not asking about the statute, General. I'm not asking about the statute. I'm asking for your theory of the Constitution and why the major questions in non-delegation, what bite it would have in that case.
Yes, I would say by then you would move from the area where there's enormous deference to the president, actually both the political branches, where here there's inherent authority, and piled on top of that there's a broad delegation.
You're saying there's inherent authority in foreign affairs, all foreign affairs. So regulate commerce, duties, and tariffs and war. It's inherent authority all the way down, you say. Fine. Congress decides tomorrow, well, we're tired of this legislating business. We're just going to hand it all off to the president. What would stop Congress from doing that?
That would be different than a situation where there are metes and bounds, so to speak. It would be a wholesale application.
You say we are not here to judge metes and bounds when the foreign affairs. That's what I'm struggling with.
It's pretty clear that Congress was trying to constrain the emergency powers of the president in IEPA. So it seems a little inconsistent to say that we have to interpret a statute that was designed to constrain presidential authority, consistent with an understanding that Congress wanted the president to have essentially unlimited authority.
I disagree with that, because what Congress actually did as...
What part do you disagree with? I'm sorry.
Well, I disagree with the notion that they were trying to constrain the breadth of the actions the president may take when it comes to this particularly narrow domain, which is, various regulations of transactions.
But how can you disagree with that? I mean, the history is what it is.
Because they made a series of changes to IEPA that relate to the triggering conditions, so to speak, and the procedures that apply, but they did not change the language. And
right, but what was the intent of Congress in changing the language, wasn't it to constrain presidential authority in this area?
To constrain it in the triggering conditions and the procedures that apply in this
So those are the triggering
context.
triggering conditions and procedures that apply are a means to constrain. That is how they went around about constraining. But my point is that Congress enacted this legislation with the intent of preventing the president from having unlimited powers in this area.
Next up was attorney Neil Katyal. Katyal represented the businesses that were challenging the legality of the president's tariffs.
If one of our major trading partners, that's for example China, held a U.S. citizen hostage, could the president, short of embargoing or setting quotas, say the most effective way to gain leverage is to impose a tariff for the purpose of leveraging his position to recover our hostage?
No, Your Honor. So tariffs are different because they're revenue raising, and I think it goes to the point I was saying to you in our very first colloquy, which is quotas, embargoes, and stuff are different for a different reason, which is that there's a tariff architecture around Title 19 that in tariff would, like in your hypothetical, would supersede. And here the president is seeking the power to set aside all of our trade treaties unilaterally under the word regulate. I just don't think it can bear that weight.
So I'm a little concerned why the fact that this act, a domestic act on emergency, that uses a general word like regulate, should take on a war powers meaning when in every other situation, whenever Congress intended domestic taxation, it said tax and regulate.
Oh, Justice Sotomayor, I wish I had an hour to talk about this with you, because this argument by the government advanced in their reply brief is wrong, every which way.
I'm saying that's your sixth way of differentiating your CETA, correct?
So
that was a war powers case.
So it's a war powers case. It's about conquered territory. It has nothing to do whatsoever with domestic tariffs.
Political White House reporter Megan Messerly joins me. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Obviously, the Supreme Court will decide what it decides in due course, due time. But I want to talk about the tariffs themselves.
Yep.
What happens if the Supreme Court says that the tariffs were improper and they should never have been imposed on April 2nd of this year? Where's the money, and who gets paid what? Who's been collected from?
That is a fantastic question. And a lot of the trade attorneys that I'm talking to are asking the same question as well, which maybe is not the most comforting thing, but it just shows how much is at stake here and how many questions there are. So this money has been paid by companies in order to import goods into the U.S. Those are the folks who actually pay them. I know
where do they get paid to? So who, the Treasury?
Yes, so they get paid. They get paid to Treasury. They're sitting there. We have not actually spent that money. That money would have to be appropriated to Congress. There was some talk about, the president talked about using that money to fund things during the shutdown. That has not happened. That money is sitting there. And so there's two schools of thoughts about this. Those who actually brought the case, it's already been guaranteed that they're going to get their money back. So those 5 parties, obviously that's a very small
Why do they get their money
group of businesses? Because they brought the lawsuit. And so basically the government has conceded that as part of this, if the suit goes in their favor, that they would get their money back.
Good.
But that's not a guarantee for every other business that has paid this tariff since Liberation Day. So that is something that the court will have to decide. And they might have the authority. I've been talking to some trade lawyers. They might be able to say that, okay, from this point forward, you can't collect these tariffs, but we're not going to affect the tariffs you've already collected. So to be determined whether or not that money gets handed back or not.
I suppose for the ones who aren't named in the case who would get their money back right away is that you would make an application to the government and say, I paid this amount of money in tariffs and the tariffs were improper, and then get the money back.
And this has been done before. I mean, generally not on this scale, but there are cases in the past where tariffs have been paid and businesses have to be refunded. So there's some precedent for this. But I mean, one thing I've been talking with some folks about is this would go through Customs and Border Patrol. This is who actually collects the tariff. And folks have told me, they don't even know if they have the staff to be able to do this. I mean, just a massive bureaucratic undertaking to send all this money back if they do end up doing that.
Do you have any idea how much?
It's billions. We're in the hundreds of billions of dollars. Last month, they announced in the tens of billions. And so the president has said that the goal is that these tariffs would, generate like $1 trillion in revenue. But still, several $100 billion is a lot of money.
So we don't know if the government loses, we've got to do something about the money in the pot that's sitting there. What is the money for otherwise? Otherwise, the money that Congress would have to authorize, assuming that Trump wins. Now the government has all this extra cash, and it would be up to Congress to say how it's spent.
Yep. So Congress would have to say how it's spent. The president has talked about using this money to reduce the deficit. At one point, he was talking about using the money to send tariff dividend checks to all Americans. If folks remember the COVID stimulus checks that he sent out with his signature, it would be something like that. So there have been various purposes floated for this money. But the big one that obviously a lot of sort of budget hawks that I'm talking to are eyeing is this reduction of the deficit.
Well, it doesn't seem like it's had a huge impact on the market, these tariffs. The market has gone up, it's gone up this year.
Yeah. It has. We saw some uncertainty at the beginning back in April, right, when the markets freaked out with the initial round of tariffs, especially those on China. But actually, because so much has sort of remained stable with China, and we haven't seen, a reigniting of the trade war with China, we haven't seen that market volatility that we did back in April. If we were to see some things go south with China again, we probably would see more volatility. But at this point, the market has sort of been able to absorb these tariffs, and I think sort of understands that the president is using them largely as a negotiating tactic.
Okay, the companies have to pay these tariffs since Liberation Day on April 2nd. Have they passed those increased costs on to the consumers so that maybe the consumer has to worry a little bit more about the tariffs from that point of view, that the corporations aren't getting hurt so much, but it's rather the consumer?
So this is the big argument. You talk to businesses, business associations, and they've told me, for the large part, they've been sort of eating the cost as much as possible of the tariffs. So they're trying to not pass those prices along to higher.
Do we know that to be true or not?
So in some cases, yes. You can look at the consumer price index for certain products and see that it hasn't, increased specifically for certain goods. So there's reason to believe that that's true. This is sort of to be determined, but some of those same businesses say that that is going to be harder to eat, though, with time, and they've warned that we might see higher prices going into Christmas, going into next year. Of course, that could be, they don't want to pay these tariffs, right? So that could be just talk and not action, but we'll see what happens when holidays roll around.
A little bit of research, and according to CNBC, is that Amazon prices have risen 12.8%.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Prices at Target, 5.5%, and Walmart, 5.3%, since about either the beginning of the year or since the Liberation Day. So, if those prices are going up and people are still buying, it sounds like that the American people are paying that, but if they get it back and paying down the debt, maybe they don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's ultimately what it'll come down to, is how do the voters feel about what they're paying? They've already felt pinched. They were feeling pinched during the Biden administration. Prices have continued to go up, so some of it, ties into that. But it's a hard position for
But it's also a question of fairness. These companies, these countries have been unfair to the United States.
And that's the president's argument.
Yeah, no, and it's true. It's like, when I found out that we were paying more for drugs in this country than another country that's not a developing country, but one, like England or something like that, it was just crazy. We were paying more than those other countries. So obviously very complicated. As always, thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Megan Messerly of Politico. Professor Emeritus at Harvard Law School and author of The Preventive State, Professor Alan Dershowitz joins me. Good evening, sir. And I was just discussing what happens if the President Trump wins or if he loses. So you tell me, listening to all the chatter among the questions from the Supreme Court to the lawyers, and if you were a guessing person, what's going to happen?
It sounds to me like President Trump's going to lose, and he's going to lose because he didn't make the right arguments in his brief. He focused, and his lawyers focused much too much on the emergency legislation. I think they should have focused more on the constitutional issues, and the precedent of past presidents doesn't work. This president, for the first time in American history, is using tariffs as part of his foreign policy, as part of his policy as the commander-in-chief. He's using it as a weapon of war. He's using it as a weapon of foreign policy, and only really secondarily as a way of getting money back to the United States. He focuses on the money coming back. And of course, Article 1 of the Constitution obviously gives the power to Congress when it comes to anything regarding finances or things of that kind. But it gives all the power to the president when it comes to foreign policy and war making as distinguished from declaring war. So I think from the big picture point of view, the strongest case he has is the constitutional case that Congress cannot take away that power. Instead, he's argued kind of statutory construction and whether or not it comes within emergencies. So I think
so. It sounds like his lawyers took the bait and got dragged into the stuff about the statute. That in doing so, they missed the overriding important question, which is, as you said, the Constitution one, because he's using this as foreign policy.
That's exactly right. And, I wish his lawyers would have consulted more widely with people outside who could have given them advice about how to argue to this Supreme Court. And, they may have lost some of the middle justices, Roberts and Gorsuch and others. And so if you have to make a prediction, Oliver Wendell Holmes once said the job of a lawyer is to predict what the courts will do. In fact, based on the arguments, I would have to predict the president might very well lose this. Now, he could come back, perhaps, and relitigate this thing on constitutional grounds, but it would take time to do it. Look, the lawyers on both sides are excellent, but Neil, the lawyer for the business people, basically said, oh, don't worry. If the president doesn't have the power, he can just go across the street and get Congress to do it. That doesn't recognize the realities of how Congress operates. If the president loses the power to use these things as a way of leveraging foreign policy, he may lose it for good. And it may give to Congress the power, more power to make foreign policy and to make military decisions than the Constitution allocated to them.
Is it possible? I mean, have you seen it where the court, after listening to arguments and asking questions, they go back in chambers and say, well, the dopey lawyers missed the real point here, and then sort of resurrect that constitutional argument that wasn't argued?
I've seen that over and over and over again. And I think there may have been a couple of amicus briefs that were filed that make the arguments that I'm making now. But the main brief by the Solicitor General of the United States focused very heavily on the statutory construction argument. Yeah, but I was involved even back years ago when I was a law clerk. I remember the Supreme Court decided several cases based on arguments that were not made. And the court has the power to do that as long as the arguments are appropriately preserved. And I suspect they are appropriately preserved in this case. So I don't think we can be absolutely certain of what the outcome will be. I also think when the justices go into chambers, they're going to start thinking to themselves, what a mess we will make if we strike down these tariffs. Your previous guest was absolutely right about the complexity of what happens to the money and what happens to the president who's in the middle of negotiations with China. And in the middle of trying to use sanctions as points of leverage, is suddenly told by the third branch of government, sorry, we're going to constrain your foreign policy and military powers in the name of congressional authority. So, they may think twice about that. And that's why
why would the Solicitor General Sauer not want to argue everything in his quill? I mean, you want to argue every strong, good argument. And why would you ever depart from the constitutional argument, which clearly says that the president has the power for foreign policy, and this is a tool that he has to protect the United States in national emergency or national security purposes? Why would Sauer not grab that and run with that too?
I don't know. It's hard to understand. He was alerted to that. I know that there were people who were telling him that there was far too much focus here on the emergency power legislation, and there should be a broader focus on the constitutional issues. Either he got directions from his client. After all, he represents the United States of America. He's not a free agent to say anything he wants, but he certainly would have had the authority to try to persuade his clients to at least make that argument. And he didn't. At least he didn't in the oral argument. But I think it's probably sufficiently preserved that the court could focus on that. But if these questions indicate which direction it's going in, it will end up restricting the power of the president to use tariffs as negotiating tactics to try to affect foreign policy and military policy.
Professor Alan Dershowitz, thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Coming up, a plane crashes, then explodes. We're going to tell you what happened in Kentucky. That when the record continues.
And the teachers' unions are in the business of indoctrination.
It's a cultural Marxist war for power in America, and your children are the key. Find out how radical ideology is taking over businesses, media, and even our schools. Watch Newsfront, Marxism in America.
My employees and I want to thank all of you at Newsmax for your continued support of MyPillow. It's because of you and the grace of God that we're making it through. And to thank you, we're bringing you the best offers ever. Get our MyPillow bed sheets, only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size, even kings, regular $119.98, now only $29.88. Our My Towels are finally back in stock. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. Towels that actually work. What a concept. And for the first time and the only time ever, you're going to get our limited edition premium My Pillows. They're made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset. Queen $17.98, King's only $19.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code when you order today. Inventory for these offers are extremely limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 91 years of age, here with my wife Shirley, who is 83. Now, both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno 150. Now, we are asking you to use Immuno 150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you.
It really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order now. You'll be glad you did.
People always ask, why Patriot Gold Group? With over 10,000 clients to date and over $1 billion in transactions, not a single complaint on the Better Business Bureau. Consumer Affairs top rated for 9 years in a row. Over 2,000 5-star reviews. The only company nationwide where you, the client, work directly with an owner. Home of the no fee for life IRA. Gold is up 80% in the last 28 months, 275% since Lehman Brothers collapsed. We are patriots protecting patriots. Give Patriot Gold Group a call at 888-528-4290 before it's too late. Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold and silver dealer 9 years in a row. Call now, 888-528-4290.
Think you need a new roof? Think again and save thousands.
We're America's most trusted roofer because we always try to save your roof rather than replace it.
We'll restore your roof for a fraction of the cost of a new one. Call now or scan the code and we'll give you an assessment of your roof for free.
TNT Sports. College basketball gets even bigger. TCU tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern on TNT, True TV, and stream on HBO Max.
We're following some scary scenes from the nation's skies. Today, emergency crews are on the ground in Louisville, Kentucky. This after yesterday's crash of a UPS cargo plane. At least 9 people were killed. The plane went down shortly after takeoff. Video showed flames from the plane's left wing, and then the aircraft crashed and exploded. The Louisville fire chief says the plane was carrying about 38,000 gallons of fuel. It needed a full fuel tank because it was en route all the way to Hawaii. The cargo plane was carrying 20,000 packages, and earlier Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear gave an update.
It hit 2 of the lesser populated businesses in the area. It hit the Kentucky Petroleum Recycling, and because of what they have there, and the tanks that they have, that made the situation more dangerous. It appears the pressure valves did go off. It did cause, we think, extra smaller explosions, but it appears they may have operated as intended to prevent it from being worse.
Meanwhile, last night there was a bomb threat on board a Delta flight. The plane is about to take off from New York City's LaGuardia Airport, headed to Minneapolis. Crew members reported the threat, and before it could taxi to the runway, the plane was moved away from the terminal. Passengers were evacuated, and authorities searched passengers' luggage. The flight was scheduled for an 8 p.m. Eastern departure. Security cleared the plane 2 hours later, around 10 p.m. Delta delayed the flight until this morning. The plane took off this morning and landed in Minneapolis without incident. And day 36 of the government shutdown. Members of the House and Senate are still getting paid, but air traffic controllers are not. According to FlightAware, as of this afternoon, more than 2,100 flights in the United States were delayed and over 130 flights canceled. Moments ago, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said they have to make some changes starting Friday to keep America's airspace safe.
There is going to be a 10% reduction in capacity at 40 of our locations.
Secretary Duffy says air traffic controllers are tired, and many are taking side jobs to pay the bills. And former First Lady Michelle Obama taking a swipe at President Trump. The topic? His demolition of the White House East Wing. Here's the former First Lady on NBC's Jenna and Friends.
As you know, the First Lady it's a strange job.
Well, there's no
non-job.
guidebook.
There's no guidebook. There's barely a staff. Now we don't have a building.
I know. R.I.P. the East Wing.
Coming up, the Trump administration is not backing down. Find out about what when the record continues.
Hi, I'm Katrina Ziff. I've worked on the red carpet, I've worked at Vogue magazine, and now I work at Newsmax, and I couldn't be happier because it's all about bringing the most important stories in the world directly to you.
There's nothing worse than losing your dog before their time.
That's why I created Dr. Marty Nature's Blend, designed to help dogs with everything from digestive issues to itching, even moving better.
Nature's Blend works because it's freeze-dried. So instead of destroying the nutrients with high heat, they all get right into your dog's body.
Take it from a veterinarian with over 50 years of experience saving dogs' lives. I have never seen a food make this much impact on a dog's health.
For a limited time, get up to 54% off Dr. Marty Nature's Blend, plus a free gift with our special TV offer. Call or go to drmartypets.com/TV.
Listen, shopping for insurance.
Whoa. The unexpected can happen to any of us. That's why SelectQuote makes it easy to get the life insurance coverage you need to protect your family for less than $1 a day.
SelectQuote found me a $500,000 policy for only $16 a month.
We could help you save more than 50% on life insurance.
I start my day with Rise Mushroom Coffee. Makes me feel more focused and energized. It's coffee so good for you, there's not mushroom for improvement. Ooh, sorry.
Kevin Sorbo here, and I have an important message to share. The government needs more money, your money. If you owe the IRS back taxes, they can garnish your wages and levy your bank accounts. They can even seize your retirement or take your home. Don't let the IRS target you. Call the professionals at Tax Network USA. Their tax lawyers and enrolled agents are experts in powerful programs that may even help you eliminate your tax debt.
Call for a free consultation or visit tnusa.com.
Here's something you don't see very often. Elves not working, and why not? I gave them the day off, thanks to WeatherTech. With so many gifts for everyone, they don't have to work as hard. There's laser-measured floor liners and cargo liner, plus the child car seat protector and cup phone to secure any phone while driving. Or get a gift card instantly at WT.com. I call winner.
What's gold is new again. Pardon the pun. But considering gold has been used as currency since around 550 BC, it has been on fire the past year. I'm here with Daniel Boston, the founder of Preserve Gold. Why is gold so stable and such a good investment for many people?
Take the central bank, for example, the Federal Reserve. They print money out of thin air, and then they take that printed money to go buy hard assets like gold to protect themselves against the very risks that they're creating. So I always tell people, don't do what the big players are telling you to do. Do what they're doing themselves.
Yeah, watch what they're doing.
That's correct.
Okay. If people are interested in investing with Preserve Gold, how do they get started?
Text Newsmax to 50505 to get your free information and up to $15,000 in free gold and silver with a qualified purchase. That's right. Text Newsmax to 50505.
All right. No way you can miss it.
U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth confirming U.S. forces conducted another strike on an alleged drug trafficking vessel. Hegseth took to X to say in part, quote, "Today, at the direction of President Trump, the Department of War carried out a lethal kinetic strike on a vessel operated by a designated terrorist organization. Intelligence confirmed that the vessel was involved in illicit narcotic smuggling, transiting along a known narco-trafficking route and carrying narcotics. The strike was conducted in international waters in the Eastern Pacific. No U.S. forces were harmed in the strike, and 2 male narco-terrorists who were aboard the vessel were killed," end quote. President Trump has ordered more briefings to Congress about these strikes. Yesterday, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said this.
The administration has briefed Congress on these matters 8 separate times, and Democrats have been included in those briefings. In fact, I know that Secretary Rubio will be on Capitol Hill tomorrow to brief the Gang of 12, which includes Democrats as well. So the president's made it very clear, if senators want to understand the administration's operations against narco drug traffickers, we are very happy to speak with them about that, and we will continue to do so. But we've been incredibly transparent. As I said, there's been 8 briefings on this topic, with the 9th coming tomorrow.
And now the U.S. Navy's most advanced nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, has entered the Atlantic Ocean. The carrier spent days resupplying before it was retasked to the Caribbean Sea. This is part of the United States military campaign against drug cartels in Venezuela. South Dakota Senator and member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Senator Mike Rounds, joins me. Nice to see you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to visit.
Don't get me wrong. I don't want narcotics coming into this country. I want to stop these narco terrorists. But having said that, how much it says if we get intel before that they are hit. We've had bad intel in our history, even like yellow cake in the Iraq War. So, what kind of intel are you getting?
Let me begin by just sharing what's happened so far. We have had briefings. They've been classified briefings. I was in one that had only Republicans. At that point, they had not briefed Democrats yet. But since that time, that has been rectified to the best of my knowledge. So we're trying to do this. I think the first one was by accident. It was one person that had requested it. A number of the rest of us tag-teamed along on that particular one. So I'm not going to blame the president or the administration for not doing it sooner. It's been completed. They do have these briefings going on.
Are the briefings after the strike or before the strike?
The one that I attended was after the strike, and the discussion was on what the legal justification was for striking a boat in international waters. The briefing that I received included people from the Justice Department and the Department of Defense or the Department of War. And they did a very good job of explaining the position that they had. They went into significant detail regarding why they were doing it, who they were hitting it, and they explained a little bit about how they came up with the information about the individual boats themselves.
All right, the boats. I mean, as I understood it, what they did historically before just shooting a boat up is that we would ask to board the boat. And we would look at the flag to see what country flag was flying on the boat. We'd call that country and get permission. Is there any effort before we blow up these boats to try to contact them and see what they're up to?
I can't talk about that.
Because that would seem to me to be, a rather important point. I mean, if they take off and run, that's another thing.
Correct. I can't answer your question directly. Let me just put it that way. I will tell you that the concern that we expressed was that during this administration, the young men and women who are carrying out these strikes will be protected. The question is, are we certain that the strikes have been done legally under international law? And that's the reason why we wanted to have a full briefing, and we wanted the Department of Justice to provide us with that information. That information is now in a document, and they are making it available. I think I'm scheduled to go through and to read it tomorrow.
Are you, what you know so far, are you satisfied? Because I realize you can't tell me anything classified. Are you satisfied, or is there something that gives you pause?
I will make up my mind after I've read the classified document. But the information they provided us was very good information. They had a good argument for the reason why they were carrying out the strikes. And I can just tell you, none of us want to see those drugs get into the United States.
That's right, none of us.
We understand the reason why the president is saying he's going to take them out one way or another. And I also understand the reason why he feels very strongly that these people are enemies of the United States. We agree with all of that.
Yeah, we lose 80,000, 100,000 a year just on fentanyl.
Yeah, and so every time we take one of those out, we save 25,000 lives.
Where were these boats likely going?
A couple different. Well, no, I'm sorry, I can't discuss that.
Because it makes a difference to me whether they're coming here or perhaps going someplace else. Let some other country take responsibility.
You're correct, but I can't talk about that. Not at this stage. We should have someone from the administration who has authority to visit on that particular issue would be better. When we receive a classified briefing, I'm always going to err on the side of not releasing information that could put any one of our young men and women in harm's way or our sources in harm's way.
Well, our people wouldn't be in harm's way. This is done from a distance, right? I mean, these are taken out. I mean, we're not pulling up alongside these boats. We're taking them out from a distance.
You are correct with regard to the kinetic attack itself, but gathering the information on the boats themselves at their port of departure and at where they're expected to arrive, that wouldn't be fair for me to lay that out.
I understand. I agree with you on that. I hadn't thought about the intel gathering. I hadn't thought about that before they go.
Yeah, look, the president wants these drugs stopped.
So do I. So do you, and we all do.
No question.
But we've got to. But we have to do it, you know, consistent with our values and our Constitution and everything else. If this is a declaration of, this is not a declaration of war.
And international law.
International law.
And here's the reason why I say that, and then I'll get off the subject. We want to make darn sure that the young men and women who are involved in these strikes 5 years from now are not concerned about whether or not there would be an international discussion about prosecution for anything. So we want to make darn sure this is done right, and that means we do our due diligence. We want to support the administration in this effort, but we have a job to do, too.
Why don't you just declare war? We haven't declared war since World War II. Declare war, and that empowers the president to do a lot of things.
It does, but as you know, it's been since World War II since that's happened that way. Things happen a lot faster now than what they did in World War II.
Well, it's really too bad because the president's got one hand tied behind his back. Whereas if he had that to go after these narco-terrorists, it'd be a little different. But anyway, Senator Mike Rounds in the great state of South Dakota. Thank you, sir, and good luck reading whatever you read tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And police in Louisiana got some unexpected help catching a suspect. A woman was accused of shoplifting when the officer questioned her. She took off running into the parking lot. The officer chased her, but she jumped into a car, and the driver inside hit the pedal. A Good Samaritan saw what was happening and decided to offer some backup.
Silver Buick going towards Marshall's. Follow him, go, go, go. They went left, I don't know where they went.
They're right there. They're going around the back.
Go and give them the air.
They went right.
It's in front of a black Dodge in the right lane, getting ready to turn towards the interstate. Behind a silver SUV in front of a black Dodge pickup. HBH 031. We got it.
Okay, yep. Okay, there you go, sir. Thank you for your service.
With this woman's help and some extra police, the accused shoplifter and her getaway driver were arrested. Coming up, you won't believe what some newspapers around the world are saying about New York's new mayor, Zohran Mamdani. That when the record continues.
Hello, I'm Franklin Graham. Have you noticed how much the world is focused on peace right now? Well, the real question is, do you have peace with God? You see, God made us and created us, but we've been separated from Him because of sin. And Jesus Christ is God's Son, and He came from heaven to this earth to save us from our sins. And you can have true peace with God through faith, simply believing on Jesus Christ. And if you're willing to turn from your sins and invite Christ into your heart, God will forgive you, and you can experience that true peace right now. Just pray this prayer with me. Just say, God, I'm a sinner. I'm sorry. I want to turn from my sins. I believe Jesus Christ is your Son. I want to trust Him as my Savior and follow Him as my Lord from this day forward. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. If you prayed that prayer, call that number. Hello, I'm Franklin Graham. We've all been watching the storm Melissa as it hit Jamaica. The destruction is just incredible. Samaritan's Purse is responding. We've got planes taking supplies and people in and out of Jamaica. We've got helicopters. They'll be working up in the mountains and some of these remote areas where people are still cut off. So much destruction has taken place. So please pray for them. We want everyone there to know that God loves them and cares for them. So we need your prayers. God bless you. Thank you.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 91 years of age, with my wife Shirley, who is 83. Now, both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno 150. Now, neither of us have any kind of sickness, and we're as flexible as we were 30 years ago, and we still do the physical things we did 30 years ago. Now, we are asking you to use Immuno 150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you. You won't believe it. Immuno 150 is an awesome nutritional supplement. There's nothing like it.
Yes, it really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order online or call the number listed on the screen, but don't place your order until after you've watched the videos on our website. Thank you from both of us, and God bless.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans. Compare drug coverage. Compare costs. See if you can save. And make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Compare plans now at Medicare.gov.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
What does the world think about America's largest city's mayor-elect? First, to some Muslim-majority countries. In Iran, a headline from the Tehran Times reads, Mamdani's win lays bare failure of U.S. capitalism. And the headline in the Iran International reads, Mamdani's New York win shows strength of Death to Israel slogan. Next up, Indonesia. The Jakarta Globe writes, Zohran Mamdani becomes NYC's first Muslim mayor after big victory. And Media Indonesia says, Zohran Mamdani overthrows political dynasty. Now, that New York political dynasty is, of course, the Cuomo family. Now to Pakistan, where the Muslim-owned publication Dawn says, who is Zohran Mamdani, the socialist shaking up New York City politics? And from the Pakistan Observer, blow to Trump as Zohran Mamdani becomes first Muslim mayor of a New York City. Now to Iraq. Iraq News writes, young leftist Trump foe elected New York mayor. Okay, that was a lot. So let's see now how Israel is reacting. The Jerusalem Post writes, Mamdani winning in New York means anti-Semitism can win elections, could impact Jews globally. And from the Times of Israel, far-left anti-Israel candidate Zohran Mamdani wins New York City mayoral race. Then Ynet News, another Israeli news outlet, writes, Mamdani's victory signals political and economic upheaval in New York and a warning sign for Israel. Meanwhile, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had his attention elsewhere and not on the new mayor. He tweeted a congratulations to President Trump on the first anniversary of his election victory. And there's someone else who might be unhappy with Mamdani's win. Eric Adams, the current mayor of New York City. He voted for Andrew Cuomo, but exactly 2 months ago, Adams called Cuomo a, quote, snake and a liar. Now, Adams says Cuomo is the best choice for New York City. Adams said this before the polls closed yesterday.
The only message I can give to New York is as I go to the next leg of my journey, I'm leaving you a good city. Don't f it up.
Well, we all know New York City did not vote for Adams' choice. By the way, Mayor Adams has not told us what his next plans are. He has a 40-year career in public service. Coming up, Tom Brady holds tons of records in the NFL, and today he's making history for something you will never guess. That when the record continues.
You hear the same voices.
Donald Trump knows that's a lie.
From the same people.
Donald Trump is less lucid.
Saying the same thing.
Insults, invective, and outright lies.
And you say, enough! I'm Chris Salcedo, and I'll tell you the real news. You don't believe me? Just tune in.
Hey everybody, Howard Garrett, the Dirt Doctor here. You know, homeowners, farmers, and ranchers don't want to worry about frozen water supplies. I don't either. Freeze Miser product helps me avoid those. It installs in minutes and activates when the water temperature falls below 37 degrees. The Freeze Miser even works in extreme freezing weather. No batteries or electricity, and it's made in the USA. Available at your favorite retailer or at freezemiser.com. It's the Freeze Miser, and it works.
A lot of accidents happen up on ladders, especially this time of the year, trying to clean out clogged gutters. You don't want to be next. That's why homeowners choose Leaf Guard, the only seamless one-piece leaf shedding and rainwater management system with a clog-free guarantee. Remember, Leaf Guard's attached to the fascia using our patented hanger system with screws, not nails. We guarantee it's not coming down. And if you call during this program, you can take advantage of our double savings sale. We're going to double your savings to 20% off a complete Leaf Guard system, double your bonus to a $200 Visa gift card with purchase, and double your free gift. Receive a $100 gift card with your in-home estimate. And the first 50 homeowners who call will receive a vacation voucher with Leaf Guard purchase. Call 1-800-541-1274. That's 1-800-541-1274.
Yeah, with Leaf Guard, I haven't had any clogs at all. And I used to a lot. So I'm looking forward to many more years with my Leaf Guard system.
And with Leaf Guard's exclusive Big Mouth, the extra large opening and oversized downspouts can handle up to 32 inches of rainfall an hour. And Leaf Guard has a lifetime transferable warranty. Remember, we can bring our factory on wheels right to your house and in most cases install Leaf Guard in less than a day. Call now during this program and take advantage of our double savings sale. Double your savings to 20% off a complete Leaf Guard system. Double your bonus to a $200 Visa gift card with purchase, and double your free gift. Receive a $100 gift card with estimate. And the first 50 homeowners who call will receive a vacation voucher with Leaf Guard purchase. Leaf Guard, get it today, protect it for life. Call 1-800-541-1274. That's 1-800-541-1274.
My husband is Miguel Cervantes, who was a firefighter with the Rancho Cucamonga Fire District. That's what he absolutely loved. My husband's cancer is directly related to his service as a firefighter. My immediate thought after he was gone was, how am I going to do this? Tunnel to Towers said that it would be their honor to help me out by covering my mortgage. To say that it's been a weight lifted off my shoulder would be an understatement.
Meet Andrew from the Zebra. Andrew lives and breathes insurance. Andrew stays up all night watching the Zebra find people's savings. You might think nobody could love insurance as much as Andrew, but at the Zebra, everybody's really into savings. The Zebra monitors your insurance and informs you of savings the moment we find it, so you never have to second-guess your policy or your price. Nobody does insurance like the Zebra. Find out how much you can save today.
The dog of former NFL football legend Tom Brady is actually a clone. His former dog, Lua, is a pit bull mix who died in 2023. Using a blood sample from Lua, scientists helped Brady get his clone named Junie. Brady worked with the company Colossa Biosciences. Brady says they gave his family, quote, a second chance for the clone of our beloved dog. Colossa Biosciences is a Dallas-based company that has brought back dire wolves and is working to resurrect the woolly mammoth. But first, Tom Brady's dog. And who knows? Maybe the NFL will get lucky. We'll get another Tom Brady. Chris Salcedo shows up next. Stay with Newsmax.